I'm Regina Elsner, Project Manager for the Boulder Parks and Recreation Master Plan Update. Our department currently manages more than 1,800 acres of urban parkland and 138,000 square feet of recreation center space, plus many other recreation facilities, including the Boulder Reservoir, Valmont Bike Park, and the Flatirons Golf Course. We manage 54 parks, 46 athletic fields, 80 tennis and other sports courts, and 43 playgrounds, not to mention other assets, keeping our staff very busy. And with the recent increased use of outdoor spaces during COVID, we are also seeing an increased use of these other facilities. Aside from the properties we manage, we also provide recreation programming along with many other community providers. Before the pandemic, we partnered with recreation and sports enthusiasts to provide over 2,500 different types of programs. Some programs include a fee, while others are subsidized to ensure all members of the community have access to parks and recreation. Our department, along with parks and recreation departments across the country, will need to adapt and become more resilient, planning to be more flexible and strengthen partnerships with community agencies, private sector providers, volunteer groups, and residents to ensure critical community assets, including our recreation programs, services, facilities, and parks, continue to serve Boulder far into the future. As Ali mentioned, we have been working on this master plan update for some time, with multiple opportunities so far for the community, our stakeholders, and staff to help us identify the needs of the community and a direction for the department moving forward. All of this previous work has helped us develop draft goals and initiatives for each of the key themes of the master plan. We will discuss these draft goals and initiatives a little later, including how you can help us now to prioritize what work we should focus on first. Before we get there, though, we would like to share with you what we've learned so far from research and policy direction from City Council and the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and what we have heard from the community, BPR staff, and stakeholder engagement sessions and surveys. We are using all that we've learned to understand our community's diverse needs and identify goals, priorities, and initiatives to move successfully into the future, providing the best recreation programming, services, and facilities to the Boulder community. First, a little bit about the changes we are seeing and trying to plan for within our community. With increasing number of older adults, BPR will likely see an increased demand for programs and facilities that meet the needs of this particular group within our community. The higher renter population and increases in costs of living will likely maintain demand or even increase demand for low-cost to no-cost recreation options in Boulder. The City of Boulder has placed an emphasis on working to address racial equity within our work. BPR is committed to working with other city staff and departments to do our part to dismantle institutional and systemic racism. With population projections continuing to increase, the level of service we currently provide, based on parkland acres alone, cannot keep pace with our growing community. BPR will continue to evaluate how best to serve the community to meet the needs of a growing population. The first key theme we're talking about is community health and wellness. Our services, programming, and facilities help provide the tools people need to stay healthy and focus on wellness. This is a top priority for our community members. And it's Boulder. We aren't considered one of the best places to play for nothing. Based on the responses from our community survey, BPR is doing well in providing parks, facilities, and programs to encourage health and wellness for everyone. Boulder is growing and already seeing high use and visitation from surrounding communities, especially since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, reducing our level of service and impacting the operation and maintenance of our parks and facilities. Rather than a focus on the number of acres of parkland, we need to focus on how close our parks and amenities are to specific areas of need, ensuring adequate access, inclusion, and flexibility of our assets to serve the broadest portion of our community. When we ask the community who BPR should have a focus on serving, specifically which groups within the community should we prioritize, overwhelmingly, the community told us to continue our focus on people with disabilities, people with low incomes, and children. But for the first time, we also have clear direction from the community to prioritize programs and facilities that focus on both older adults and teenagers in particular. The next key theme is taking care of what we have. This theme is centered around how BPR prioritizes our work to maintain our parks and facilities. This is both day-to-day operations and maintenance, but also larger-scale improvements and enhancements when necessary, and full-scale replacement when assets or facilities have reached the end of their useful life. Survey respondents agree that BPR's focus should remain maintaining our existing facilities and renovating and enhancing existing facilities. Purchasing additional parkland and developing new facilities is not a large priority. With a diverse population, BPR also has to keep in mind that community members have different priorities. Balancing these can be hard, but taking care of what we have is important to everyone. In order to ensure we are taking care of what we have in the best way possible, it's important to keep the following ideas in mind. The first is renewal, increasing the frequency of replacement, because in many cases, the same number of amenities will have to work harder. Increasing the rate of renewal for some amenities will help balance the increased wear and tear that results from increased use. The second idea is resilience, building amenities that have higher capacity and tolerance for intense use. Maintenance budgets will need to increase to help keep pace with the intensity of use, but building to a higher standard is also an important factor for ensuring the needs of the community are being met in terms of capacity and quality. The third is equitable access, improving access for those who need it most, improving the balance of services across the city, and being proactive in planning for future population increases and demographic changes. And the last idea is repurpose, changing what is being provided based on trends and demand. BPR is managing a system that is, for the most part, built out, meaning that adding to the overall inventory may not always be an option. Moving forward, this may mean conversion of existing spaces and amenities to accommodate new uses, increasing multifunctionality within existing parks and facilities. The third key theme is financial sustainability and how BPR balances the need for parks, programs, and facilities with the available financial resources. Here we look at revenues and expenditures. While cost recovery for some of our programs has improved, revenues from the department's other funding sources have remained relatively flat. Revenues from BPR's funding sources have remained mostly constant between 2016 through 2021, with an average negative growth rate of approximately 0.4%. The lack of revenue increases creates a challenging operating environment for BPR, as departmental overhead and expenditures rise on a near annual basis due to inflation and increased staff costs, as well as increased costs for materials. The trend of fund revenues outpacing expenditures is projected to continue, with BPR's fund revenues projected to grow on average 2.8% through 2026, while expenditures are projected to grow 5.8% during the same period. Between 2016 and 2020, BPR experienced financial shortfalls in operations and maintenance expenditures, as well as capital improvement and renovation expenditures. 95% of survey respondents support maintaining current funding sources, while only 45% support implementing a new sales tax. As is the case throughout the country, BPR will need to continue to try and find ways to creatively achieve financial sustainability and close those funding gaps. Closing the gaps in recommended funding levels for operations and maintenance and capital improvements is key to the department's long-term financial sustainability and our ability to fulfill our mission. We are evaluating new and existing revenue sources to maximize the ability to continue to provide high-quality parks, facilities, programs, and services to the community. Another way to ensure financial sustainability and provide the services our community has become accustomed to is to continue to build community and strong relationships with our customers, our partners, and other community groups and organizations who work to make Boulder such a great city. This is our next key theme, building community and relationships. According to survey responses, community members believe partnerships help build community relationships increasing understanding and the support for everyone in Boulder. Partnering with other cities, school districts, or nonprofits to develop joint use facilities or programs is seen as a way to fill current gaps in services and facilities. Community input reveals that people are highly supportive of partnering with private organizations to develop recreational facilities or programs. Partnership opportunities with community organizations are becoming increasingly important, especially when considering BPR's increased focus on equity and resilience. BPR has great relationships with community volunteers who are excited about helping maintain and improve the parks and recreation system. Maintaining a resilient parks and recreation system is more difficult today with decreasing or flat budgets, less staff doing more work, climate change impacts, and population growth. BPR cannot keep the system healthy alone. Community relationships and partnerships are critical to creating a truly resilient and equitable system. All of the work we do every day, updating our master plan, building community and partnerships, and staying financially viable are ways to build a bright future. And this future is about our younger populations. Engaging youth from an early age in recreational activities is an excellent way to prepare future stewards of the outdoors, community, and healthy lifestyles. The next key theme is youth engagement and activity. We all know that youth need the support of their communities to stay healthy physically, mentally, and spiritually. Being outside and being active are critical to this. Developing healthy habits early in life help people keep those habits throughout their life. In the last few years, obesity and lack of physical activity have reached alarming levels in our youth. The mental health of youth has also been declining due to increasing levels of stress, inactivity, and other issues related to a variety of causes. Now, more than ever, BPR plays an extremely important role engaging youth in activities that promote physical, mental, and spiritual health. Boulder once again told us that serving youth and teens is a key part of our role. Through specific engagement with youth and teens in the community, we asked how we can better serve them. Younger children want more opportunities to engage in nature play and discover things while outside, less programmed and more creative ways to interact with nature and get active. Teens asked for specific programming directly intended for them, especially spaces for them to hang out together. Teens also crave leadership and volunteer opportunities and career development options. Teens are not just asking for opportunities to be provided to them, but for ways that they can actually be involved in the creation and development of these opportunities. For teens, by teens. The final key theme is organizational readiness. In other words, how do we operate as a department, recruiting, training, and supporting our staff to best deliver the programs and services for the community. As a department, we have to be ready to adapt to changing environmental, social, and economic situations. In order to best provide services as an organization, we have to be united, clear about what we do, streamline day-to-day processes, and be healthy ourselves so we can give our best to our community. COVID-19 is an opportunity to reevaluate programs and processes with a new lens and avoid returning to previous practices and operations. Instead, we can shift to focus to more meaningfully address evolving community needs and demographics. Capacity and workload are a concern. There are less staff doing more work, and long-term institutional knowledge of the department is lost through retirement. Continuing to develop ways to work smarter and measure our progress effectively can help staff meet the needs of the Boulder community. Staff also feel that utilizing community feedback and new technologies can help us work smarter and update our processes to more effectively measure our progress. Communicating our expectations both internally and with our community is key to building trust and maintaining relationships that help our staff excel in all their work.